live. So I can see some of the people joining us. So at this awkward silence, if anybody in the audience could help us out and tell us if we're already live, that would be absolutely big help. So anybody who's listening, give us a little chat in the chat. Can you hear us? Can you see us? Then we will be kicking this off. All right, we are live. I can see that. Perfect. So switching off LinkedIn and kicking this off. All right. Hi, Matt. It's so nice to meet
Hello.
you again and again. Matt, it's
It's
such
so
a
good to see
pleasure.
you.
We have met together with Matt at SaaStr this year, and we have been chit-chatting since. I'm looking forward to having this chat together with you, Matt. And an introduction to yourself to the audience would be great. So who are you, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. Been looking forward to this for a while. We've been talking about it for a few months. So excited to finally be here talking with you. And I am Matt Atkin. I am Senior Performance Marketing Manager at Trey. I handle all of our inbound digital marketing efforts. And yeah, I'm excited to be here talking about all things marketing, automation, attribution, and beyond.
Very, very nice. I've got a question. Before we actually dive into the weeds, and some people are joining, this probably is going to be the most important question of the whole day. And you were not noticed about it in advance. So,
Okay.
question to you and to the audience. So, audience, be prepared. Your answers matter too. If you were to choose your next cruise anywhere in the world, where will you take it?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. Do we have another 30 minutes just to
I'll not
go
ask
through that?
why. No why questions. Where
Um,
will you cruise?
I think if I had to choose, no restrictions, Iceland, I think would be top of the list. Maybe Panama Canal, close second. That's been on the list for a while, but Iceland just looks like another planet, and being able to see the Northern Lights in person, I think would be fantastic. So,
Wow.
how
Okay,
about you?
it's a different answer than I might have expected. It's like Iceland, it's cold. Cruises, it has to be warm and like, I don't know, samba music or whatever else that you're choosing. So my choice, since I have not been in that part of the world, I probably would go for Bermuda. Probably.
Just got back from Bermuda and highly recommend it. Did a Caribbean cruise and it was
Look
fantastic.
at that.
So highly
We have people
recommended.
following you as well. So you said Iceland, somebody's going even further. There, Lee is going to Antarctica. I was like, come on, how crazy are you people?
I saw that there were cruises that started offering Antarctica voyages. I think it's next year or the year after. That's definitely very interesting. So Lee, connect with me. Let me know how it is.
If you're going, yeah, because the reason
Yeah,
for this question is before we move on, is because Matt has taken a lot of cruises, various places, very exciting stuff. I've never been on a cruise. So for me, all that 5 or 7 cruises that you've done is a lot. And a lot of fun spaces. I hope the next time you get to go to Iceland, it's beautiful.
yeah.
All right,
I'll keep you posted.
let's kick this off, Matt. So today, because you're from Trey, we're going to talk about automation. But we're not going to limit ourselves only to the stuff that, oh, you're working in Trey, so you only do automation. No, you do performance marketing with automation on the side. And it happens to be that you're able to do it with your own product. Awesome. So to kick this off, can you help me understand what marketing automation is in very high level? But at the same time, talk a little bit about the use cases that you see working out in marketing.
Absolutely. So marketing automation today is usually thought of as a way to do, lead routing or CRM management, account management, etc. We try to take it a step further and use, like you said, automation to power the marketing as opposed to thinking of it as a marketing automation tactic. And so a lot of the traditional tools and mechanisms are very set in stone in terms of what you can do with marketing automation. You can maybe do a little bit of very basic attribution. You can maybe do some sort of automation around intent signals. But at the end of the day, you're pretty boxed into whatever marketing automation platform you're using and what the capabilities are. And so a really great thing about something like Trey is you can expand on the limitations of the out-of-the-box configurations from a lot of these platforms and build out your own custom workflows that make sense for your tech stack and your strategy. And so we're finding that, and when I made a very focus point to say what marketing automation looks like today is XYZ, because we are noticing that and trying to kind of flip it on its head and figure out other ways to expand beyond just the typical use cases of lead routing and basic attribution and automating intent signals.
So very exciting. Yeah, so it goes further than when you say, usually for a person like me, I don't work with marketing automation. When you say marketing automation, I'm thinking of some basic platforms that everybody more or less are using. It's like, what is your marketing automation platform? Well, I use HubSpot. Perfect. but there are some certain limitations that you're not able to do. So can you walk me through a couple of those limitations that you see most typical marketers like you are seeing in the marketing automation platforms that you would add on top of the big platforms?
Absolutely. I mean, we are seeing a lot of our users ditching marketing automation platforms entirely for in-house attribution. So they are taking the capabilities of what they know these platforms have built, kind of copycatting it within their own automated workflows, and then expanding on it completely again in-house. And so that's obviously a very exciting proposition for someone who may feel limited by the standard HubSpots, Marketos, et cetera. And it's not that those aren't great tools. They all serve their purpose and exist for a reason. It's just that sometimes there are limitations depending on the use case. And we are of the mindset that everyone should be able to solve problems with technology. And that is the main goal of what we're trying to do at Tray. And so we, again, are seeing strategies shifting away from using the limited software in marketing automation platforms and using automation tools to power their marketing automation efforts from a 360 view.
Yeah, understand. But doesn't it require a lot of technical resources to do?
It can. I mean, we definitely like to see users who are building on our platform at scale. We call our users builders. And so there is a bit of a technicality, required, but that is also the same with any marketing automation platform that you're going to adopt. It's not going to be plug and play out of the box. There's going to be setup. There's going to be a learning curve. So it's just a matter of how much your resources are able to let you go within that marketing automation platform or beyond, if that is where you're seeing limits or you need to grow beyond. So there is a bit of a technical aspect to it, but that is not to say that you need to be a coder to understand how to do a lot of these automated workflows. There's, once you kind of get the hang of it, you can start really visualizing and building out complex workflows that build on top of themselves. And just like anything else, it's step by step, one rung at a time up the ladder.
Yeah. So you have to be a builder, not a coder.
Yeah, and so we bill ourselves specifically as low code automation. So there is a bit of code, involved in that you can manipulate APIs or you can build out custom JSON queries within your workflow. And if you are someone like me who didn't know what that meant before joining Tray, that's okay. You can figure it out. It's very intuitive, and it doesn't necessarily apply to just Tray. It's with any sort of automation platform. There's, again, going to be a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get the hang of it, the sky's the limit.
Just like Jason is saying to us right here in the chat, don't get trapped in the off-the-shelf roadmap when it comes to marketing automation, because it might be limited, and take control of the solution and build it yourself. Well, there's always that chat, build versus buy stuff. And well, even though you build it with Tray, then you still buy the stuff to build it with. But I think it's very exciting. If anybody in the chat have questions, please hit us with them. It would be very interesting to hear also what it is that you're trying to automate in marketing, what it is that you're possibly failing and don't have any ideas how to do it. We've got a lot of people following us here from Tray as well that would either pick it up here on the call or later on together with you as well. It's like kind of, what is it that you're trying to automate? We're going to try to work this out.
Yeah, again, loaded question, how much time you have. I think a better question would be, what aren't we trying to automate, right? There's so much that can be done, and there is also a limit, right? You don't want to over automate.
No.
There needs to be people managing and keeping an eye on the workflows to make sure they aren't breaking everything. But when you get to that sweet spot of having a tool that's able to kind of take over some of the manual tasks or solve problems that you've been hitting your head against the wall with, it's really powerful. So for me, something that I dealt with a lot previously in my marketing career was trying to figure out how not only to route leads from various sources, but to re-upload them after we have offline events being tracked, right? So
Mm.
we want to be able to push them into Google or push them into LinkedIn. And that was a problem that we tackled with my ops team for quite a while. And there were a lot of different ways to skin that cat. And ultimately, we were able to kind of figure it out, but not the way that we wanted. And so, you know, that's something that I've been able to automate at scale is building out a workflow that recognizes offline events and pushes them automatically from our CRM into the various platforms that accept offline conversion tracking. So that was one huge problem that we were able to solve.
Were you able to measure any improvement on the leads that you're getting back afterwards from those platforms? Because this is a very cool
Absolutely.
use case.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the mechanism existed before. You could always upload offline conversion events, but you had to do it manually. And if
Oh,
people are changing in their life cycle, or attribution is changing, and you have a lead list from last week, that doesn't do the platform's algorithm any good when it's trying to optimize for those offline events. So
yeah.
if you have a system in place that's constantly talking to your CRM and then just push pulling nightly, which is what we do to
Nice.
Google, it takes care of itself. And then on top of it, we're able to track that and then set up alerts on the back end that are also automated that say, hey, the upload and conversions have been processed. Here are the results. Here's how much ARR is processed as potential opportunities from these uploads. And Google is now going to take that and run with it to try and optimize towards those types of users. So
Oh,
completely hands off from my part.
yeah. So cool. Well, question. Do you use any marketing automation platforms at Tree?
Um, we have in the past and are in the process of moving towards that in-house model that we're seeing a lot of our users adopt as well. So the answer is yes and no.
Very interesting. Yeah. Because I guess at the beginning, when you're still growing and so on, the easy use case of what automation platform gives you is good enough. And then you start niching out and so on. It's like, well, I can just as well build that piece too. Very cool.
And it wasn't just that it was just as well we could build that. It was we found an opportunity to improve on it with the tool that we had at our disposal, right? So we were just lucky enough to be able to dog food it and build on top of it.
Nice.
So it wasn't just us trying to replace anything or replicate it because we could. It was we saw an opportunity to build on top of it and build it better for what we were trying to do with our tech stack and our
Mhm.
strategy, and took advantage of that.
So cool. And for now, you spoke about the offline conversion tracking and pushing it back to those platforms. And it, for me, it still sounds a bit technical if you were to optimize those pieces. But I guess the role of performance marketer is changing as well. So who is doing the automation stuff? So is that the performance marketer? Does that person need any help from somebody else in the team to get this streamlined?
Yeah, I don't think I would necessarily consider myself a tray builder. I think there are people who can build better within our organization, and so I certainly rely on our ops team
Okay.
to, serve as a backbone. But I will try and jump into workflows whenever I can. And for example, that offline conversion um, workflow is something that broke earlier this year and something that I had to go in and kind of figure out how to fix on
Yeah.
my own. So it depends really on the situation, but most organizations I think have a growth or an ops team at their disposal to be able to help support. The great thing about automation platforms is they are generally plug and play. And
Yeah.
so if you don't have those resources, there are tools and mechanisms at your disposal to kind of help you bridge those gaps. Something I love about Trey that I utilize is our growth and ops team is great at building out pre-built workflows and pre-built templates. So
Ah,
we'll build something internally, copy it and say, here, this is how we built it, go run with it. And so I'll utilize those for my own, just as, you know, a starting point to get me off the diving board and into a more complex workflow, if that is something I'm trying to build myself. So it depends, but, you know, it's a team effort and also something I'm able to do on my own if needed.
I think it's so clever. And we're moving more and more towards the very empowering roles of operations in all of the organizations. It's like it's not just marketing operations versus sales operations. We're joining those together and having them available for both, really, because what you're talking about, like they're building better models for you to automate offline conversions. But in essence, well, this is for sales to go and close, to get better leads and so on. So it's like all that joint stuff of operations, so powerful. Love that.
100%.
Now we're talking about revenue operations. Talk to me about attribution. Now we spoke about automation. Talk to me how you can do automation and attribution of a trace use case.
Yeah, so specifically what we do is we have a continuous lead queue that's constantly syncing, and it is processing leads, I believe, every minute for dupes, for their lead sources, for account scoring, and is based on, you know, different definitions, able to push that lead through into our Salesforce instance with the proper attribution already in place, so that when we go in, we know exactly what the lead source is, you know, what the UTM parameters are, all of the information that we need to pull that you would normally be trying to map manually is ready to go in our reporting for us. So that's how we approach it. There's definitely other ways to go about it. You know, attribution is your side of the house over at Dream Data, and so that's something obviously that you guys are trying to solve for. And so there's a lot of different ways to approach. I think it just comes down to your tech stack and strategy.
Yeah.
So that's one way that we do it. And again, as we've kind of seen the shift away from the platforms that have normally managed those rules, when you don't have the limits and restrictions, you're able to build a lot more accurate data and a lot more accurate attribution, and you're able to account for attribution that those other platforms can't, like things like dark social and Slack conversations and LinkedIn messaging. So there's some interesting plays, I think, for future of marketing automation, and specifically using attribution. And like you said, it's not just for marketing ops anymore. There is aspects of sales ops, there are aspects of rev ops, and it's a term we've kind of coined internally at Trey, which is we're seeing the rise of GTM ops, right? Go-to-market ops is really this new category. It's not rev ops, it's not sales, it's not marketing, it's everything all at once talking to each other cohesively to tell a compelling story for the user and ultimately close more deals.
So cool. It's like the abbreviations over and over again that are changing. And now, like from RevOps, we still did not get used to RevOps that much just yet. But you're mentioning go-to-market operations. And I think it's really, really cool and interesting because, I mean, in essence, we're all working in one team. The only thing that we care about is how can we drive more revenue? How can we go to market that we're able to grow this product and grow our customer base as fast as possible, as most efficient as possible, and so on, both in time and money and all that kind of stuff. So I really love that. And luckily, you're not the first one to mention this. So that means we're on the very good path for calculating stuff like that. I love that. You mentioned that kind of the automation stuff that we're doing and the teams that are working with it are slowly changing. So if we were to think about the next year, so this year, gone almost. But for the next year, if you could be thinking of any examples of automation news that you could be doing for 2023, what would that be?
Absolutely. I'm seeing, and I love it and want to see more of a shift for field marketers utilizing automation, right? Event follow-up is broken in my opinion. There are a lot of things that are just left by the wayside when it comes to doing event follow-up right. And I'm seeing more and more field marketers starting to move over into the ops side of things and figuring out not only how do we get the leads into the CRM post-event, but how do we actually follow up with them effectively and use things like intent signals and in-person cues that we've picked on from conversations that we have that we can then pass through notes and into Salesforce that give reps, enable reps to be able to have more relevant conversations as opposed to just the one-to-many generic, thanks for stopping by our booth, here's our demo, right? So I think that that's something that we're going to see a concerted shift towards, especially as events are starting to come back in full force. That's something I'm seeing come out more and more. What you had mentioned before, not just marketing, but full organization buy-in, because it is really passing along different steps of different parts of the organization. Getting full 360 alignment between sales, marketing, RevOps via automation is definitely a thing that is happening more and more. Better data cleanliness, more complex data mapping. The more automations you build out that are working, the more you can scale on top of them and use those to build. So that's something. And then just, again, what do you need to solve for? And how does it look today with the tools that you have? Doesn't necessarily look like what it's going to look like tomorrow. Isn't going to be what it looks like tomorrow. And so there are going to be a lot of evolving use cases when it comes to automation, again, not just for marketing, but for entire organizations, that I think are going to be really exciting moving into next year and beyond. So
cool. That's what the future can bring with those. Very exciting. I've got a couple more questions, but everybody who is in the audience and listening to us today, what would you like to ask about automation as well? So Matt can cover that. And we would be happy to pick up a couple of questions after we cover a couple more. Jason is pitching in very shortly as well. When you mentioned the help that you're getting from operations to get in some workflows so you can do some of it yourself, you've got a Trey Academy, really cool. There are courses that can help you getting ahead and learn how to do automation. Well, maybe I should
absolutely. Yeah, our Trey Academy is great. And a lot of that stuff is written by not necessarily our content team, but our builder ops team. So it's the people who are in the weeds and know exactly how it works and the best ways to go about it. So a lot of that stuff is gold in terms of documentation in the Trey Academy. And we also have a really fantastic community of builders at other organizations who are doing things that we never thought of, that are asking us, hey, how can we build on this use case? And then it ends up being something that we can include as a pre-built template or workflow on our side of the house. So, when you're asking what the possibilities of the future are, it's like, let me go check what our customers are building and I'll tell you in 10 minutes, because there's something new being built every single day by our users. So it's pretty cool.
Very cool. And do you share the templates across the customers as well, kind of an open source way, or how does it work?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a fully, you could go to it right now on our templates page and click use this template and get going right now. And so obviously there's a little bit of configuration in terms of logging into your authorization and building out the workflow so that it works for your stack. But it's, essentially plug and play. The workflow's built out. You just go in and change a couple things and it should work.
Love that. Look, San has a question to you as well about your ICPs. Who are your key customers? He's thinking about the industries, the size, and the spend. So kind of qualify in and out the companies that could be using Trey.
Yeah, absolutely. So typically we see use cases within the RevOps, sales ops, marketing ops space. There is also some crossover into IT and engineering, but we also use Trey for automating employee onboarding. So there are HR ops aspects to it as well. And that's kind of the automation side of the house. We also have a native embedded product that is specifically geared towards product teams who are building out integrations for their customers, may not have the resources or ability to build them out at scale. They can tap into our connector library, offer XYZ apps within their platform, and then nobody knows the wiser that it's being powered by Trey. So it really is full organization covering and depends on really the use case, Sam.
Very cool. Love that. Moving on to a little bit more personal questions besides the cruises, Matt, this time. Can you talk to me about Talk With Me, about an automation that was supposed to be really big and broke and didn't work out how you expected it to do.
Yeah, again, that offline conversion workflow that I mentioned earlier is great when it works, but when it doesn't, it doesn't. And so that was something that I had to kind of hit my head against the wall for a little bit in terms of figuring out what was going on, and in the meantime, manually upload conversions again, which is exactly what I was trying to not do. So ideally, in a perfect world, every automation would go work and never break, but that's not what happens. And so that was a workflow specifically, that I can remember going in and not being particularly thrilled that it wasn't firing the way it was supposed to be. But such is life, especially within a marketing automation world. So that's one that comes to mind for sure.
Very cool. And if you were to think of something that you're really proud of working besides the offline conversions, because now I can hear it's working, is there anything else that you're thinking that was really, really cool and you're so proud of it that it's finally working in marketing?
Yeah, there's one that I just saw that I thought was really cool. We are, as marketers, held to certain requirements or parts of our job description, but something I don't think marketers are cognizant enough of is working alongside sales and
Mhm.
really enabling sales. If you're doing your job as a marketer, you should be enabling your sales team to succeed. And so one of the things that I just saw that got really good feedback from our sales team is we have um, the ability for users who are on a free trial to extend a free trial if they're not quite ready to buy. And when they hit extend free trial, we automate and send intent signals via Slack to the account owner saying, this account just extended. This is the workflow that they were looking at when they extended. Here are the website pages that they visited. Here's how long they were on page. So that then in the follow-up, that rep feels empowered and enabled to say, hey, I saw that you extended your trial. Looks like you're really building out workflow X. This is how you can build on it. These are the plans that support. Let me know when you're ready to have that conversation. And
Oh,
so I thought that was a pretty cool use case.
this is a time saver, 100%. What we do at
Absolutely.
Dreamgeta right now is that we do get alerts. It's like, oh, dear rep, these accounts are active that are right now not clients of yours, and this is what they have been reading on your website. Click a link and see their customer journeys. This is nice, but what you're talking about is much more enablement and a lot of time saved for the salesperson to be on point instead of just, oh, you extended the trial. Can I help? Yeah, but like you will know how you can help if you get the information like this. I love that.
Absolutely.
We've got a question from a LinkedIn user. Unfortunately, we can't see who you are. Sometimes this happens with LinkedIn as well. What are the top marketing automation channel challenges you see from your clients?
Marketing automation challenges. So things, there are the basic things that everyone needs to solve for constantly, like lead routing, automating intent, building out attribution models that work and make sense for your sales cycles. But also things like quote to cash, RevOps alignment when it relates to full 360 org communication in the sales stack. Prospect lifecycle automation, right? So, letting them know where they are in the prospect lifecycle in terms of the reps being let know, and again, enabling them to take action within specific steps, saying, this is where they are in the trial, this is where they are in this sequence, etc., and giving them automated cues to move forward. So those are just a couple examples. Hopefully, mysterious LinkedIn user, that answers your question.
This is not you. This is LinkedIn who doesn't give their name to it. Thank you so much. That's a lot of exciting stuff. And to finish this off, Matt, what are you mostly excited about next year at Trey?
Oh, I am really excited to see just the number of use cases, like the types of use cases, not necessarily the number, but again, we have people building every day on our platform and solving problems that we don't necessarily have or think of. And so we constantly get submissions from users who are saying, hey, this is how I built this. We have a community, again, a community channel in Slack that we have a how I built this channel in that community where people share. This is, not necessarily prompted by anything. They're just being nice and saying, hey, here's a problem I solved for myself. It might help you as well. And so we see that constantly on a weekly basis, and it's exciting to see. And there are a whole bunch of problems that haven't even been thought of that need to be solved. And I think I'm excited to see how people go about doing that.
It's a very beautiful community. I love that, because you're growing together with them, and they do the same together with you. So this is a great stuff, especially for product marketing as well, for product, how products should be built out and everything. Very cool. Well, Matt, now we know this was Sam from Dream Data, the mysterious LinkedIn user. He says hi, you met him before. So
yeah, how's it going, Sam?
Everybody who is in the chats, if you're still there and have a question that is unanswered, we can take one more, but you have to type real fast, just like Sam did.
Go.
Yeah. Otherwise, we will finish this off for today. You can catch Matt on LinkedIn. Are there any other platforms that you're using for communicating with your community and with your prospects or anything?
Not anything out of the norm right now. There may be some interesting developments coming next year in the way of community and some changes that I think might be exciting for our users. But you can find us on Slack, you can find us on LinkedIn. Pretty much the typical mediums.
Perfect. We're looking forward to see what you're going to be automating next year. Thank you so much, Matt, for today. Thanks everybody for joining us today. See you another time.
Thanks, everyone.